And of course, we need to be careful tonight because we've got FOMC, Fed interest rate decision, like around 2 hours from now. So, which will move the market. And yes, like, of course, like when it comes to me, like I believe in the chart. Like if you want, the news is like the reason to move the price up or down, but like most probably everything is planned beforehand. So like today we have news, so it would be the catalyst, and we'll understand today which way it might be the catalyst for a bullish long-term reversal, or for a one more bearish movement before we finally say that we might be having an early alert or a signal that we might be seeing like the next program, of course, when certain rules like meet. But for now, of course, let's take it step by step. We'll go over like every single chart, and like I'll show you my view and my input about what might be happening, and if this happens, what we will do, and if this happens, what we will do. Because no matter how hard we try, we can't predict the next move. Okay, so we react. We don't predict. Wait for the market to make the first move, and then we react accordingly. And yeah, let's start after 1 minute. Okay, let's wait for a couple of more minutes for more members to join, and we will get into the charts. And for the second part of this like session is like market structure tips and tricks. So while I'm going over like the analysis, the usual ones, like of course US 500, Bitcoin, Ethereum, USD dominance, the XY, I will also share multiple examples on how to use market structure and price action to feel the market and to know who is currently in control. And usually, right? Usually we perform this kind of analysis on the higher time frames, on weekly and daily, because of course, it's called market structure or price action. The for example, if you have like a monthly candle or like a candle from H1. So the monthly candle will hold more data, more volume than a 1 hour candle. That's why like the higher the time frame, the analysis or the market structure price action would be more reliable than the lower time frames. And it is very clean on the higher time frames. That's why I always recommend like newcomers to always start from daily chart and weekly, monthly, and so on. Don't zoom in below daily, like if you are just starting out, because it's very clean on the higher time frames. So, like without further ado, like after this big introduction today, let's get into it. For for what I do best, the chart analysis, right? So let's do it. We can clearly see that we've got the US 500 price is still respecting our supply and resistance. Like for those who remember, we have been looking for buy stops here, buy setups here, sell setups here. We are still inside this like range if you want. Yes, we had big movements, like a big movement triangle. If you zoom in, you can see it like big candles pushing lower, big candles pushing like higher, like especially due to CPI yesterday. But it is still inside this range. We are still in a ranging market, not in a bullish market just yet. Yes, we are bullish, right? Like from a medium term perspective, but we are still here from a short term perspective inside this range. Let me remove this one to keep it clean. Now, if I zoom into weekly time frame, you can see it very clearly. And if you want, I'll delete everything so that we can focus on the market structure and price action, right? So we can clearly see that we are, or we have been, or we are currently bearish, right? We can clearly see it with a big impulse pushing price lower, a correction not being able to make a higher high, and then one more impulse pushing price lower, making a lower low, and then a correction not being able to make a higher high, instead making a lower high, and an impulse movement, right? But you can clearly feel that Okay, the impulse movements are getting weaker. They are still big, the bears are still in control, we are still managing to make lower lows, but you can clearly see that we are seeing or experiencing a shift in momentum. And I feel like this is a trick. Simply connect the lows. So this is the previous or the first low, right? Which was broken previously, which signals the shift in momentum from bullish to bearish because we were bullish previously, right? And then the lows got broken, we are now bearish. But I want to show you something very interesting. If you connect simply the lows here, right? So this is it, and this one. Okay, so simply connected like this by a line, right? And here we go. So you can clearly see how we are experiencing a shift in momentum. We were previously, like this one was steep going lower, while look at this last one. This is how you also can feel that, yeah, we might be seeing a shift in momentum. Now, of course, we'll be seeing one more like this. So we might be still going down to form one this low, and then we'll be making higher lows and higher highs and so on, right? And this would be it. So this is first. Second, let me get back my drawings because I can't live without them. Okay, so this is it. Now we can also, by connecting these lows and these highs, we can draw a trend line, okay? And the trend line will help us feel where the price is moving. Of course, like it's not like a line that if price breaks upward, it will buy immediately, right? It's just for us to feel the overall view. Okay, so we can clearly see that we are currently trading inside a falling, broadening wedge pattern. Okay, because this is it. Because if we have a channel, like we will have two parallel like ones, but we have a falling, broadening wedge because like this one is going this way and this one is going this way. Okay, so we can see or we can feel that whenever or whenever the price retests this upper band, we are experiencing a fall from here. So we are currently around this area. So we'll be most probably like speculate that we might have one more leg down. And if we combine this one with the previous analysis that I just made, which we connected these ones, right? It makes total sense to have this one more leg down to form this one and then trade higher to fully see a shift in momentum. Okay, so like to me the best case scenario, okay, to have this long-term steady reversal, I would like to see one more bearish movement, failing to make a lower low, instead making a higher low, and then trading higher. In this case, if this happens, we'll also have an inverse head and shoulders pattern. The neckline would be here, and when we trade higher and break it upward, now we'll be having a shift in momentum, of course, from a long-term perspective from weekly time frame. But for now, as usual, let's take it step by step. If you zoom into daily time frame, which I already posted today, if you check it out, you can see the picture here. Okay, that we are currently here and we are forming a very similar low to the previous ones right there. Okay, so yes, we are speculating one more leg down, but for it to be confirmed, we need to see a break below the previous low. Okay, which just like this, a big candle breaking below it, big candle breaking below it again and again. If we see this break below this zone, it would be a massive break. And as you can see, I have my alerts just right here. Okay, we need to see this one going down, breaking below the support resistance, as you clearly see, which is the 3.9, and also which would be the previous major low from daily time frame. Okay, so this is it. Now, for this view to be confirmed, as mentioned, let's remove this one aside as a support for now. We need to see a break below the 3.9K, or if we break above this one now, okay, which is a supply zone, a resistance zone, and so on, we'll be expecting a slight bullish movement till the next resistance, which is this one, this one, this one, and so on. Okay, so it's a massive resistance around this area. Okay, this is what I'm waiting for on US 500. Of course, you can also zoom into lower time frames, and you can also like do your analysis. The bulls took over here. If you go to H1, that's it. Bulls took over, bears took over, bulls took over, and blah blah blah. Okay, so now for the bears to take over from a short-term perspective, this is the previous low. we might be seeing like this movement like this before we see one more low and then break it downward. So most probably, or what I'm waiting for basically is a low to actually be broken downward. Yes, we had due to CPI yesterday this movement, and like usually chances are that whenever we have this aggressive movement downward, price tends to trade higher, fill it before we trade lower again. Okay, so this is a supply zone now that we might be going higher, form a low, break it downward, and go lower from this area. For now, let's take it step by step as usual, and let's move to the XY. Mark, I hope you're doing good, and we also got at the Triple Man. Hope you're doing good. Okay, so enough with US 500. Like I always take my time on US 500, like because it will help us a lot feel where we are in the market, what's going on, and what to expect. On DXY, I also posted it on TradingView. You can go here, search filter, go for DXY, click on here, and this is it. Okay, I posted these two, which sums up what we are going to expect. So I'm expecting basically a rejection from this demand zone. It's a massive demand zone. Okay, I'll show it to you here in a bit. And this is it for the bulls to take over. We are bearish, of course, but for the bulls to take over, we need to see this break or and moving downward, like which we are moving now. Okay, moving now. We didn't break. We are moving downward. If you go the lower, form a new high and then break it upward, then this is where the bulls would take over. Okay, anyway, let's make the update right here. The reason why this is a very, very strong zone, this one, is because inside this big bullish movement, this is the only place where price paused. Of course, this and this as well. Okay, which makes these two a demand zone. It's a rally, a base, and then a rally. Okay, which is a demand zone, which we call R, B, and then R. Okay, rally, base, rally. Anyway, we had this demand zone that usually price tend to go down, fill it before we trade higher. Okay, it's like very, very similar to a wick, where we have a wick, price tend to go higher, fill it, and then trade lower, right? So we have a wick, price went lower, filled it, traded higher. We had a wick, traded lower a little bit, filled it, traded higher again and again and again. So you can see this example all over the place. Moreover, it's a resistance, right, turned into a support because it's broken upward now. So this is a massive zone, and we might be going a little bit lower to trade inside it before trading higher. If you go to daily time frame now, we can see that we have been bearish, but the impulse movement pushing lower are getting smaller and smaller. We are still managing to make lower lows and lower highs, but look at the difference between these and this big one, right? Correction, a bigger one, a correction, and then a massive one going down. And then look at this movement, and you can see that it's going flat, especially after this aggressive movement downward right here. Okay, and look at this, it's going flat, which means that the bears are still in control, but not as strong as before, which usually give us an early alert that we might be having a reversal. It would be confirmed only after a break above the previous high, which we haven't had yet. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we can see it even in a cleaner manner. We had a bearish channel, impulse movements, correction movements, impulse movements, correction, and we are currently in this impulse movement downward. The 103 is a massive zone, in my opinion, because it's the intersection of the lower trend line and the 103. So we might be seeing now, due to FOMC and interest rate, we might be seeing a wick going down, fill it entirely, and then trade higher immediately from here. Okay, and vice versa, of course, for US 500. We might be seeing US 500 going higher, fill this supply, which I showed you from daily, and then trade lower in an aggressive manner from here. Okay, this is why it's very important to to be careful like when it comes to news, because like things might happen very quickly, as you clearly see from this one right here. So on the news we had a big movement upward and then followed by a big movement downward to like fill back where this movement started. Okay, so now we might be going a little bit higher one more time, fill this one and start to go down from here. Okay, so the 103, 101, 1.5, like this area here is a massive zone. If you go lower, expect a rebound or a bullish movement from here. For the bulls to take over entirely for this one, because like we might trade like this for a while, or like big wick, and so on, right? Like due to the news. But for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above this channel, and also, of course, a break above the previous major high, which is currently this area. Okay, so the best case scenario to me is if we go lower and then trade higher and then form a new high and then break it upward, fading to make a lower low, making a higher low, forming like a head and shoulders, break it higher and trade higher from here. Okay. Again, I took my time on the XY, because I'm covering also like for the second phase market structure tips and tricks, so that we can learn in a practical way, through a live example of what's going on and what might happen next. Now let's get into crypto, right? Finally, USDT dominance. On USDT dominance on weekly time frame, we can't really see much. Just a high. Now it's filled, and we're expecting a bearish movement downward, which would be like very good, like for the crypto market. If the USDT dominance trades lower, we'll be seeing the crypto market trading higher. Lately, we saw a bullish trend like this, impulse correction, and we are currently here. We are currently in a correction movement. So even if we trade lower, it is just a correction, and we might be trading a little bit higher more, maybe fading to make a higher high instead making a lower high, and then break it downward to finally say that yeah, like now the bull run and the crypto market is ready to start. Okay, so in my personal opinion, this is how I see it. I see it going like slightly till around this area, or like this. Okay, till around this area and then reject it, because this is a correction now, just like previously, and previously like multiple times. Okay, impulse correction, impulse. We are currently in this correction, and as you clearly see, the bigger the impulse, the bigger the correction, right? So we had a smaller correction, a bigger correction, and look at this one now. Especially if we trade lower, we have an even bigger correction, which truly means that yeah, the bulls are still in control, making higher lows and higher highs. The price is going up, but the correction is getting bigger, which means that after every swing, after every phase, the bears are pushing even stronger than before, which is also an early alert that a potential long-term reversal might happen. Okay, so long story short, for USDT dominance, if you break this like 7.9, 7.88, which is a very strong support, as you see here, if you break it downward, we'll be experiencing a bearish movement around this demand zone, which is also a massive support and resistance, and then this would be the end of the correction movement, to see one more bullish movement, failing to make a higher high, making a lower high, and then break it downward, and to finally say that yeah, now we are ready to move lower. Anyway, let's take it step by step. For now, we are here and we are currently inside this area. For the impulse to start again, for example, here we had a correction, right? We broke below the previous lows, we kept on making lower lows and lower highs, and then here the boost took over and started the impulse movement higher. Okay, so for this impulse movement higher to start, we need to see a break above this previous major high, which is currently here. You know what? I'll be moving this one to this area. Meanwhile, we might still trade lower, form a new high here, trade lower even, okay, fill this demand, and in this case we'll be extending this trend line like this, even we'll be making an offset for it like this, and trade lower and lower, and then form a new high and then break it upward for the impulse movement to start, and then this would happen. But again and again, let's take it step by step. We are currently trying to break this area, and tonight we have FOMC, we have Fed interest rate, but most probably this movement will keep on pushing lower. We might be having a wick like this before the bears take over again, and then push further lower. But for now, things are looking good, especially that we managed to break below this low and below these lows as well. Okay. But of course, we might be having a correction like this before we trade lower. That's it. I can't really see much from H1. Bears took over and so on. So this would be it. If you have any question at any time, let me know. Hello, Victor Solomo. Hope you're doing good. Victor, cheers, mate. I'm happy to see you here. Cheers. Yummy. We've got Ishanna. Hello, Ishanna. Glad to see you here today. So let's move forward to Bitcoin. Okay, so I've posted also Bitcoin. You can also check out my trading view at any time. Okay, you can check like my detailed analysis, like daily 115, day 114, and so on. But I want to show you the picture one. Where is it? Solana. Okay, we rejected the support. Now we are around the resistance. Let's move lower. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so mentioned that we are bullish as long as we are trading inside this channel. We'll be expecting a bullish movement upwards, especially if we break above this area here. The bulls will take over and will be pushing till around this area. Okay, so we had the break. The bulls are still in control. We didn't break below this zone. We are still bullish, and now this is a very, very interesting zone. So again and again, we might be seeing a big wick. Let me draw the 18500 here, which is a very strong zone, by the way. Let's go for brown, right? We have brown. Yeah, that's it. Okay, we might be forming like a big wick to fill the 18500 and before trading lower. Okay, unless because this is a massive supply zone. Okay, and also this entire zone is a resistance zone. If you zoom in, you can see it. If you want, let's delete the green zone now to keep it clean. That's it. Okay, upper bound, lower bound. Okay, that's deleted to keep it also clean. The previous ones, we don't really need them anymore. That's it. So we are currently here, and as you clearly see, we've got a massive support previously broken down. We're now acting as a resistance, right? So we might be going a little bit higher, forming a wick before we trade lower from here. Or if we have a clean daily candle close above this area, then we'll be expecting further bullish movement till this upper trend line again. Or if we break it higher, we might even go a little bit more higher before we reverse, and not here till around the 20k, which would be this one right there. Okay, so this area here. If we break this one higher, we'll be expecting this movement, and then this would be it. Impulse correction, and then this impulse movement lower would happen, which is very similar to what I showed you now on USDT dominance, a bearish movement, and then this would happen, right? The exact opposite of Bitcoin, the exact opposite on USDXY, a little bit lower, which would be Bitcoin a little bit higher, right? And then a reversal, okay? So this is what I'm personally expecting. Let's delete this one. Oops. Let's delete it. Okay, so previously the bulls took over as we already saw on this chart, and from this layout from last week, the bulls took over short term, the bulls took over medium term. We had a classic retest, we had a deeper retest, a classic retest here, and then we had a deeper one, and then we traded higher. Again, we haven't really break below this zone. I had my alert, it didn't go off, and now I've added one more alert right here for the bears to take over from a short-term perspective. I want to see this break. Meanwhile, we are bullish, and we are very, very bullish, as you see here from a short-term perspective. This one reminds me a lot of this movement here. We might be having a consolidation, but no, we will not have consolidation now because we have the news, right? So like no matter what happens here, it doesn't really matter inside this channel. Okay, what matters is if we have a candle close and a big H4 one, or preferably a daily candle close above the 18,500. If we have it, then it would be great. Expect further bullish movement till around the 20K. That's first. Second, even if you trade lower like this, right, a big like movement due to the news now, it would be just a correction, right, inside this big channel before the bulls take over again to push the price higher. So we might be seeing this and then see this, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe break it down or break it higher. We can't really know so far, but let's see how it goes. That's it. We are bullish from a short term, medium term, and we are approaching a resistance zone. Very, very similar on Ethereum. Also, as you see, I have my alert right. I guess I have to have it a little bit higher, right here, which is just below this low. Okay, also the boost took over. I'm expecting a movement till the 1500, sorry. We might be having a slight or a minor resistance here. So yes, we might still reject from here, but the most probable or stronger zone would be the 100. Sorry, again and again, the 1500 zone around this area, which would be very, very similar to Bitcoin retesting the 20K. Okay, that's it, which is also lining up with this channel and so on, but it's just a correction inside this channel before the bears might take over again and push the price lower. If you go to H4, we also have a channel. We might be having this movement before we test the 115, or we might be going slightly bullish now, reject this area right there, and then trade lower again before trading the 115. Okay, that's it. H1 can't really say much. This is the last low. If broken down, we will be expecting bearish movements, a short-term one, a correction one, but most probably what I see is going a little bit higher before forming a new low and then break it downward for the correction and then trade higher again for the next impulse movements. VSNU, hope you're doing good. Dusty Jabs, glad to see you here, guys. Okay. Now, of course, let's go over NWC and like this one, Galatasaray, right? Back before I go over as many altcoins as possible, I have a big list as usual. So I'll keep on going. If you have a specific request or special altcoin that you would like me to go over, please let me know and I would be happy to add it right there. That's it. Okay, so I'll do 2 or 3 and then keep an eye on the members talk chat to check your request. If you are watching from YouTube or any other platform, you can post your questions or requests in the comment section, okay? Before I move forward, let's take a sip. Cheers. Okay. Next, we've got, of course, like NWC. Weekly time frame, can't really say much. Let me wait for a connection. Okay, can't really say much around the massive demand zone, which is very, very similar to many coins. Okay, I guess my connection is a little bit slow. Let me know if you can hear me well. If not, I will see what I can do, but I'll try my best. From daily time frame, we can see that we are overall bearish, a flat correction, impulse, flat correction, right? So this reminds me very much of the previous movement. And now I'm speculating a movement a little bit higher, a movement lower, and then a break above it. Very similar to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And then we'll be expecting this bullish move. As you can see, I've got too many alerts, right? So one around this area in case we dive lower. Okay, it would be a massive demand zone. One just above this zone here, which you can see when we break it higher, and one just around this resistance zone right there. Okay. So I'm waiting for a break. Meanwhile, yes, NWC is kind of boring now, trading inside this range. So like for those who I would like to trade it like from a short-term perspective, like the conditions now are good to trade this range upward and downward until it eventually is broken upward and downward. On let me see, on Galatasaray, yeah. Still around this support demand zone, so it's still boring. Also, I can't really say much about this one. We formed an inverse head and shoulders, waiting for the bulls to take over, waiting for a break above this zone, like 2.1, I guess. Yeah, 2.1 for the bulls to take over, and we'll be expecting a bullish movement from here. Okay. Meanwhile, we might still go lower, make one more leg down, or even keep on trading lower and lower. Right? Like this is why no matter how strong a support is, no matter how attractive the price is, no matter how cheap it is, always wait for the bulls to prove to us that they are strong enough to at least break a last high. Okay. On seed for Mac, dear boss, we are still also, like this one is boring, as you notice, trading inside this area for a long period of time. For the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above this neckline. In this case, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. For now, inside this range, as long as we don't break below this area, we are fine. If we break below this major low, it wouldn't be good. Okay, we'll be expecting further bearish movement, but for now, we are bullish, but we still need to see a break above this. Short-term bulls take over, and then from a long-term perspective, dear Mac, we need to see a break above this, like 14.5 for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, and expect seed to trade higher and higher. Okay. Mac, he said, I still have high hopes. Yes, of course, of course. But like to me, I always like to wait for the bulls, like to prove them to us that like they are now ready to push higher. Cheers. Thank you, Mac. Okay, let's move forward. I've got a big list, so like I'll go over them by order. Okay, this is why I remove that watch list, because like I don't want to see what I'm going to do next. So it would be a surprise. But if you want to go over a specific one, let me know, and I will open the list again and will add yours first. Let's do it and let's enjoy it. CZ chilies. So we were expecting that because of the World Cup, and it's a fan token, we'll be expecting the bulls to take over and push higher. But as I always say, wait for the bulls to take over, which haven't taken over yet, right? So the fundamentals are good, right? So fundamentally, this one should go higher because there should be more demand for this token, because people will use the Chili's platform. In order to use the Chili's platform to like buy a fan token, they will need to buy CZ first, right? So like the fundamentals were there, but unfortunately this one didn't go higher. And like from a chart perspective, from a technical perspective, the bulls didn't take over. This is why it's very important, no matter how the fundamentals are good, no matter how cheap it is, no matter how the project is good, always wait for the break. Weekly time frame, anyway, you are still inside this movement, a big range in the shape of an inverse head and shoulders, as mentioned previously multiple times. We are waiting for this to break above this for the buyers to take over long term. Meanwhile, if we trade lower, I'll be looking for a short term buy inside this support zone, especially around the 1 round number. That's why I have my alert right there around the 1 in case we drop further lower. Lately, we even broke below the 1.5, which has been acting as the lower bound of the support zone, which isn't good. Broke it down. I have my alert right there. I will show you why in a bit. If you go to H4, if you remember from last week, we were waiting for this break previously and didn't happen, and this break didn't happen. We kept moving lower. So let's update our chart. I moved this one till here, and this explains why I have my alert right there. Okay, I'm waiting for this break, but I'm also waiting for, let me move it like this, a little bit lower, and that's it. So I'm waiting for a break above this and also this trend line right here. So I want everything that might hold it back or down to be broken upward, which is also the 0.15. Once we see this, we'll be expecting a bullish movement on CSZ. Meanwhile, we're bearish, making lower highs, lower lows, and we might still be trading lower and lower. In this case, I'll be updating the zone till here, and till like 0 maybe. Okay, so we can't really know. Just wait for the bulls. That's it. And okay, now we've got ADA. Good. Weekly time frame, we've got a demand zone. Why it's a demand? Because inside this big bullish movement, we had a big movement, a consolidation, and a big movement again, which makes this one a demand zone, right? Previously, the bears were kicking in an aggressive manner, big impulse movements, steep movements, and so on. And lately, we are going flat, which is an early alert that we might be having a potential reversal. But for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the last major high, which is currently here from weekly time frame around 0.6. Once we break out the 0.6 upward, this is where we can see that now the shift in momentum is confirmed, and we'll be expecting further bullish movement. For now, around the demand, unless we break the 0.3 downward, in this case, this demand zone would be broken and we'll be expecting further bearish movement till the next rejection, which would be around 0.15. Okay. If you go to daily time frame, this is it, the latest trend or bearish movement engulfed by this channel. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I want to break above the 0.6 as mentioned. From a medium-term perspective, I want to break above this last high. Now, if you form a new high here, I'll be updating the zone till here. But this zone is truly massive because look at how clean it is and how much it's lining up with the previous support zones, right? Broken downward, rejected this resistance, traded higher. So it's currently a resistance. For the bulls to take over, I want to break above it. That's my alert. Meanwhile, okay, if you go lower till around the 0.15, I'll be looking for buy stops here inside this channel like this. And I'll be also trading just like previously here, for example, the correction, here, and now as well. I want to trade this correction movement. Even though, yes, we are bearish, blah, 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 but we have some room to trade higher from here till this high, lining up with this trend line and so on. Okay, if you go to H4, this would be it. That's my alert. This is the zone that I'm waiting for. Once we break it higher, I'll be expecting a bullish movement till around this area, intersection with here, and so on. Unless we keep moving higher and higher, break it up. In this case, the short-term bullish movement would be overextended to be a long-term bullish movement, which would be, if this happens and kept moving higher, which would be an impulse movement because it's breaking above a high, and now we'll be expecting a correction, making a higher low and then a higher high and so on. Okay, but of course we need to see a break above this 0.45 first. Anyway, let's take it step by step. H4, waiting for this, bulls take over short term. Meanwhile, we are bearish, especially especially if we break the 0.3 downwards. It wouldn't be good at all. And by break, I mean a daily, sorry, an H4, a big candle close below it. In this case, expect further bearish movement. Okay, Joseph, hope you're doing good. Like we just finished, or we went over Galatasaray. We got Crypto Cat. DJ, happy to see you here, mate. If you have any questions at any time, let me know in the members talk, or if you want to go over a specific altcoin, I'll add it. For now, like I'm just like hiding the list, and I'm going over like my list by order without knowing what we'll go over next. Okay, so this is how we are doing it for today. If you want to go over a specific altcoin, let me know. I will add it. CryptoCat, DJ, hello again. Cheers. So let's move forward to the next one, which we don't know what it is. Atom. Nice. So very similar to ADA. On Atom, we are currently around a very strong demand and support. We can clearly see it. Resistance here, support here, right? It's like it was a fake out here, and then the bulls reclaimed the support back. So it's a support now, and we are currently right there. Between this support and this resistance. Resistance, support, and now a resistance. That's it. If you zoom into daily time frame, we are currently bearish, trading inside this movement. We were bullish previously, making high highs and higher lows, and now we are bearish, making lower lows and lower highs. Just like ADA, I'm speculating or trying to trade a correction movement. Okay, just like this one, a correction movement upward. I want to catch this movement before, of course, maybe the bears would take over and so on. But let's take it step by step. A support zone, multiple rejections from this area, and we'll be looking for buy setups unless, just like ADA, if we break below the 0.3, let me show you, it wouldn't be good. On Atom, if you break below the 8.5, it wouldn't be good. We'll be expecting further bearish movement below this low. But for now, we are still here. We are trying to make a higher low, but it would be confirmed by a break below above this one. If you break it higher, we'll be expecting this movement till around the upper bound. It would be a correction movement before maybe a low gets broken, and then the impulse would start. Maybe the impulse would be a higher low and not a lower low, and then a break above it. In this case, the bulls would take over from a long-term perspective. In this case, right, it would be an impulse correction and then an impulse movement again. Okay, but okay, for this to happen, first we need what? We need this one to be broken off with. Okay, we need a break above this. If we go to H4, let me make it appear on daily. You can see it even better there, as I showed you. That's it. That's it. Okay. If you go to H4, which is where it was, I drew it there. I want to break above this area, above like 11 or like 10.9, and big momentum H4 candle close. Meanwhile, we are bearish. We can still go like sideways here before we break it higher, or we might break the 8.5 downward, which wouldn't be good as mentioned. Let's move forward. What do we have next? Let's see. Algo. Okay. Algo is also a very good example to wait for the bulls to take over first, because just like CZZ, the fundamentals were there, but it didn't go up because the bulls didn't take over. And if you remember previously, I was waiting for a break above this high, and then this high, and then this high, right? I kept moving lower and lower, and I kept lowering my zone. So let's update it now. Joseph, hope you're doing good. Okay, let's move forward. Weekly time frame, it's a massive zone indeed. If you zoom in, you can see it. The 0.2 is a very strong support here, here, and here. Okay, and we are currently retesting this support. If we dive inside it, we'll be expecting a movement to the 0.1. But that's it. But we are currently here around the 0.2. So we'll be looking for buy stops starting from now. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective for on Atom, on Algo, we need to see a break above the previous high. Now, this price action reminds me very much of this price action. As you see, a movement like this, a movement like this, a high, a movement lower now, a movement lower now. We might be having a sudden movement lower and then trade higher. We might be having this before we trade higher, and then we broke it upward and started to make higher lows and higher highs like this. This is like this is what we want for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. Or long story short, I want to break above this higher right here to finally say that yeah, now we are bullish on Algo. From daily time frame, that's it. We have this range. We broke it downward, resistance now, traded lower, approaching the 0.2 now. Looking for buy stops from a short-term perspective to catch this correction movement because we have a resistance here. You can see like 3 alerts there. I guess I have one in here. No, I don't have it. It's fine. Give it a minute. Okay. If we go to H4 time frame, we can see that we are trading low, we are bearish. I don't really like this channel anymore. I'll go for a most recent or to follow the price action even more. Remove this one, go for a one like this to follow the latest price action as mentioned. So that's it. I have a zone here. I have my alert, the first one here, and I have the second one up there, which I also see the next alert. I don't know why it's a little bit higher. Let's go for a little bit lower. That's it. And one here around the 0.2. If we drop lower, it would be also an interesting area to look for. Okay, Matic, nice. If you have any questions, let me know, or request any altcoin. I would be happy to do it. Matic, okay, this one, let's make it in red because we already have orange up and down. If you go to daily, we are currently trading inside this big channel. We are currently here. We broke above a high and we had an impulse, and we are currently in this correction. If we break this high upward, it would be an impulse correction and then an impulse movement again before we have a correction, maybe, and then an impulse to break it higher and trade higher, or impulse correction, break it downward. In this case, we'll be trading lower. So this is what I'm waiting for on Matic, but this one is a short-term support for now. This zone also, this price action also reminds me of this one right here. We might be having a quick movement before we trade higher, so we might see a quick movement now due to FOMC and so on, but the bias here is bullish. That's it. I have my alert right there, as you see, above these highs. So that's it. If we break it higher, we'll be breaking above this falling flat channel, and we'll be expecting further bullish movement inside this zone. If you go to H1, we can see a high formed now, just like this one, like this, make them in gray. And if we break it down, we'll be expecting further bearish movement to test this lower area again. Okay. Okay, I'm checking the chat. We have Tesfy, right? Requesting sushi. Okay, we don't have like food here. Okay, so like you can't request food. Okay, sushi. Let's like call like someone to to order some sushi. Where is it? I'm not sure if we can find it here. If not, I'll add it and do it from scratch quickly. Sushi. Okay, yeah. Let's go higher and just below Matic. That's it. Okay. Oh, nice. I have some drawings. Okay, good. Okay, nice. So weekly time frame, we've got this demand zone as well, 0.5, 1, and 1.5. So support, resistance, and midway between these two. Also a big zone, as you saw already from daily. Inside after this big bearish movement, we are currently stuck inside a consolidation. If we break below 0.5, it wouldn't be good at all for sushi. Here we go. We are currently rejecting this one. So as we trade a little bit lower, we'll be looking for short-term buy setups, just like previously. So the boost took over, higher lows, best took over, low lows or highs, boost took over, and we are currently trading lower. So I'll be looking for buy stops here. As you can see, I have two alerts right there. I'll show you why, and an alert up there because above this wick. So in fact, I have my zone like this. Okay, that's it. This explains the first alert right there. If you go lower now to H4, we know that the bears took over. We are trading lower. This is the last high, which explains. No. Explains this alert right here. Okay, so this is the last high, very similar to this one, but again, it's just a short-term bullish movement. Unless we also break above the 1.5, we'll be expecting this one. So we have a big support and resistance, a big range. Inside it, we have smaller boxes right here. And we are currently approaching this area. That's why we'll be looking for buy stops here. And then we have this resistance, and then we have this resistance. And then if you break it higher, we'll be trading higher. And I have, let me add, I have my alert right there around the 1 because it's a very strong, very strong round number. And it's the lower bound of this range. As you see, price haven't really broken below the 1 for a long period of time. Retest, rejection, multiple times. I guess even previously, yeah, retest, rejection. Okay, so the 1 is a massive round number that I guess will reject the price. That's why I want to know before the price reaches the 1, I want to know around this area that we are going down to look for a buy setup on a shorter term time frame when the bulls take over and so on. H1 can't really say much. That's the last high, waiting for a break above it and so on. Meanwhile, while bearish, we can still trade lower and lower, lower and lower. In this case, I'll be looking for buy stops around the 1. Sushi done, and bon appetit. Can you check Ape? Of course, CryptoCat. Ape. I guess I have it on the list. Let me check. Yeah, we have it here. Let's move it higher, just below Sushi. Weekly time frame, can't really see much, but we are bearish, as you can clearly see. We are going lower highs and lower lows, and we are currently here around this area, which is very interesting, by the way. If you zoom into daily, you can clearly see it. Impulse correction. We are currently here at the end of the correction. We'll be expecting this impulse movement lower if and only if we break below this low. Okay. So previously the boost took over and started the impulse movement. This reminds me of this price action and this price action. Now for the boost to take over from a long-term perspective, we wanted to exit this channel. That's why I have my alert right there, as you see, for it to break above this zone. In this case, when we break it higher, then this would become an impulse because price previously was making lower highs and lower lows. By breaking above it, it would mean a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, and we'll be expecting this movement next. But first, we want to break above this 5.3, 5.4. Meanwhile, let's take it step by step. We are at the end of the correction, expecting one more impulse, which might be result in a higher low and then a break above it and so on. So basically, and if you want, long story short, we are bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. We will remain bullish unless, okay, the last low is broken, which is currently here. Let me draw it anyway, which is this one right there here. Meanwhile, we are bullish and we can still trade higher. If we break above this 5.3, we'll be expecting even further bullish movements. Let's move forward in our list. We've got Link. On Link, also a big channel. As we approach the lower band, we'll be looking for buy stops here. That's my alert. Next, we've got this major high. I have my alert around it. And this minor one, which is around this area, which also explains my alert right here. So once we break it higher, we're expecting a short-term bullish movement. If we break this one also higher, we'll be expecting a movement to the upper bound of this big channel. Where is it? Yeah, that's it. And if we break the 10 higher, they expect a long-term bullish movement. Meanwhile, if we trade lower because we are bearish, around this area, I'll be looking for buy setups. On near, this is also very interesting. If we go to weekly, that's a very strong demand zone. The 1 is also a very strong round number. And the 1.5 previously has been respected nicely. So I'm speculating a bullish movement from here. We might be going a little bit inside it before we trade higher. That's why I have my alerts around the 1.5, which has been respected multiple times. So I'll be looking for this buy. If we break it downward, I'm looking for buy stops inside the zone as well. This is also only from a short-term perspective. From a long-term perspective, I want a break above this channel, above the last major high, which hasn't formed yet because it's here now. For example, we might see this and then this. This would be a break above this high, and then we'll be expecting a bullish movement. Meanwhile, from a shorter term perspective, I have this zone right here. My alert is up just above this wick. Let's go a little bit higher, extend it. That's it. Meanwhile, we are stuck inside this range. Let's see which way we are going to break. It's the Snake Empire. Happy to see you here, mate. If you have any questions or want me to go over a specific altcoin, let me know in the members talk. Meanwhile, I'll keep on moving forward. Okay, Kava. As you can see, I don't personally trade this one because I don't have my alerts. But since someone I guess requested it last time, so I did it, and voila, we have our chart. From a long-term perspective inside this big channel, from a short-term perspective inside this short-term channel, and this is the last high. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see a break above this high. From a shorter-term perspective, we want a break above this consolidation right here, which is around the 1 round number as well, which is a strong round number. So let's go a little bit higher just to cover the 1 round number. And that's it. Meanwhile, we are inside this range. If we break this range downward, which if you want could be acting as a horizontal one, let me extend it. Let's extend this one as well. If you break it downward, expect further bearish movement inside this lower support zone. That's it. Move forward to MKR Maker. Weekly time frame around the 500. The 500 is a massive zone. If we approach the 500, as you see, I'll be looking for buy stops, of course. That's it. Here we go. This is where, sorry. This is where we started to go higher. Let's take a sip. Cheers. Okay, this is where we started to go higher. If you zoom in, we are currently inside this clean looking channel. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, obviously we need to see a break above the 1K, like 1K, like 1.21, 1.2K. If this zone is broken, we'll have a break above this previous high, and then we'll be expecting a long-term bullish movement. On lower time frames, on daily, we are currently around this zone, which is a massive zone, and we'll be looking for buy stops. If you drop lower as well, I want to be looking for buy stops inside the zone, as I showed you from weekly. Meanwhile, I have like 2 alerts right here, as you can see, one from a short-term perspective and one from a longer-term perspective. Okay, let me fix it. I have it here, I guess. Yeah, but you know what? Since I have this one as a short term, I have to make this one a little bit higher. That's it. Okay, but I want to break above this zone and also the trend line, because price can go higher, reject this trend line, trade lower, and then trade higher. XMR. Okay, we previously were bullish. and we as per my last analysis, we're waiting for this break. We have it. We had it. It higher. And this one reminds me of Ape. It's a very similar one. Overall bearish trading inside this channel. You can even go a little bit lower like this to cover this one as well, a little bit higher like this, and that's it. Okay, so and this one a little bit lower like this, that's it. We are currently at the end of the correction. It's a correction because we are bearish, obviously. Every bullish movement would be a correction before the next bearish movement push price lower. Yeah, for the bulls to take over here, I wanted to exit this channel as well. That's why I have my alert above this high. That's first. Second, like we are now slightly bullish, we can still go higher and higher. But then if the bears break below the previous low, we will be trading lower. For now, this is the previous low right here. Dot, also very interesting. I don't know why I have this zone here. Yeah, maybe because it says support resistance. Anyway, if you go to weekly first, a demand zone, very similar to many altcoins. A demand zone, looking for bust tops. That's it. From a long-term perspective, I want to break above the 7, which is right here, which is the last major high. If we break it higher, expect further bullish movements. From a shorter term perspective, we've got this range, and as you can see, I have my two alerts, one around the upper bound of the range and one around this little high right there. But you know what? I'll be skipping this little high and be going to this major one. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me see. We've got many members. Hello, everyone. Happy to see you all here. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to go to a specific altcoin, also let me know. I'll try to go over like maybe 2 or 3 more, and that would be it. Bukarik is typing. Let's see what Bukarik has to say, or if you want any question or altcoin. Cheers. Bukarik, I'm also happy that you are here, mate. Glad to see you here. CryptoCat, okay, clever. I copy and pasted. I guess it's like KLV, I guess. Yeah, KLV. I'm not really sure if I have my drawings. Yeah, I previously had them there. Let's delete it and go to weekly time frame. Okay, can't really say much. We had the all-time low, which we are currently trading below it. Let me see if we have any other ticker. Yeah, that's it. So the all-time low is right here. That also price broke below it a little bit. Maybe now we've got the round number 0.001, which is, as you can see, holding the price upward. The previous all-time low was around, yeah, it makes sense. Let's go for 5. Go to daily. That's it. This is the 5 or 0.005, of course. For the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above this high. Lately, we have been trading lower and lower. Here, the correction started, the impulse movement started again. So once we break above the zone, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement. And if you zoom all more out, we can see a bigger channel, which where we expected the next impulse movement. Let me see if we can zoom out more. No, that's it. And let's try to go like this. Go for this one, and let's make, okay, it's a wedge pattern. Yep, that's it. Since we have red already, let's go for blue for this one. Go a little bit higher, lower a little bit, auto, that's it. So once we have this break, the correction would start, and then we have this resistance right here, which I will also be highlighting as this area. So I'll be expecting this to happen if we break above 0.005 and then rejection here, form a major high just like previously, and then this would become a major high and then break it upward to have a shift in momentum. Meanwhile, this one can still trade lower and lower and lower and lower. Polkadot, yeah, I guess we just went over dot, right? Yeah, I guess we just went over dot back now. Any more requests? Let me know. Meanwhile, I'll go over one more. Let's go for Reef because like Bukarik always requests Reef. So let's do it anyway. Around this previous major low, we can see it even better from daily. Look at these rejections. If we break it downward, it wouldn't be good. If we break this area downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. For now, around this support zone, looking for buy setups, waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above this major high. Around 0.0033. Fantastic, Bukarik. Like, we're wishing you the best. For the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above this green zone, okay? Sustain Empire, is there any fans token? I'm not really sure about it. You're more than welcome, CryptoCat. Okay, like the DJ answered, like we've got PSG. So let's see if we can find any setups here. Weekly, can't really say much. I don't really like how we traded below these major lows. We are making lower highs and lower lows. That's our last major high and low. That's it. Okay, so for the bulls to take over long term, we need to see this break. Meanwhile, from a short-term perspective, let me zoom into daily, retesting this low right here around 4. So as we retest it, I'll be looking for buy setups, and we have a big channel pushing price lower, rejection. That's it. For the bulls to take over, we need to see this and then break above it. Or meanwhile, if we go lower, it would be an amazing area here to look for setup intersection of this previous low, demand zone, lower trend line, and so on. Yeah, this is it for PSG. I can do one more. So let me know, guys, which one you would like me to do. We've got many members here today. I want to say hi to everyone before we do the last one. Altuk, Pekarik, CryptoCat, Dusty, Jabs, Joseph, DJ, Dear Boss Mac, Mark, Sustain Empire, Triple Man, Ishenna, VS, and you, and for those who are watching also from YouTube. Happy to see you all guys here. FFA might be a friends token. Let's check it out. Okay, got FFA and Rune. Okay, FFA. I'm not really sure if we have it. Mac, I don't see it. I'm not really sure if the symbol is right or like it's not available on TradingView. Meanwhile, while we verify if FFA is good, let me check Rune for Sustain Empire for Mr. Tyron. Rune. This one is old. I have my alerts already set. This one is old. A weekly time frame. Okay, old. Around this demand zone, also around number 1. Daily time frame inside this big. If you want symmetrical triangle, let's make it cleaner. If you go to H4 daily time frame first, that's it. this is our last high, which that's why I have my alert lining up also with this previous lows and highs. That's it. If we break it higher, we'll be pushing higher, like from H4 time frame. Like I'm personally holding this one starting from here after we have this break. That's why you see it in red. And for now, I have my alert right here below this low. So I'll keep holding my buy and we'll maybe trading higher and higher. And if we break above this, I'll be adding like more longs. If we go lower and break below this low, in this case, like I will close my buy because the bears will be taking over to push the price lower. So if we go higher, for example, and form a new low, I'll be moving this one right here. I put my alert right here and so on. So meanwhile, we are bullish from a short-term perspective from H4, pushing higher as long as a low doesn't get broken downward. If you break above this 1.75, we'll be pushing even higher. Okay, Mac. Let me check FRA, and this would be the last one for today. Okay, like I'm not really sure if this is the one, because like I can't see France or anything. I just like see Fendora. Okay, I'm not really sure if this is related to the World Cup, but anyway, since like we mentioned it, FRA Findora. It's like Fin and like Dora, right? So around 0.01, 0.001, a demand zone indeed. Also, this entire demand to around 0.015. That's it. For bulls to take over, of course, very, very clean. A break above this structure right here. Go to daily, fantastic H4 time frame. That's it. Okay, if we break it higher, the bulls will take over. We'll be expecting a bullish movement. Meanwhile, we can still trade lower and lower, but this is a good area to look for by stops around. Like Mac mentioned, so many scam fan tokens out there right now. Please be careful. Be careful, everyone. Like Bukhari is mentioning, Argentina is winning the trophy. Hopefully. Okay, so that would be it for tonight. Happy to see you all here. And thank you so much for those who stayed till the end. I hope you took benefit from the session. Bukhari, you're funny. Uh, so thank you, Bukhari. Hope you enjoyed it. Of course, interested for the next session. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Same day, same time. You're more than welcome. Happy to see you all happy. Most importantly, be safe, trade safe. After 50 minutes, we've got FOMC Fed interest rate. We'll get a lot happening in the market. Like stay calm and always think in an objective manner. Don't just buy because of FOMO, because we might be experiencing big wicks or sudden shift in momentum like in 1 hour and so on. Best of luck. Good night, everyone. I'll see you hopefully next week, same day,